Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, the podcast for all things neurodivergence. I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist and professional speaker, and I'm happy to be your host through the wild trails of the neurodivergent world.
And I'm Jake Noonan, educational coach and humanities teacher, your co-host and producer, and I'm thrilled to help share the stories and the experiences of wonderful people in the world of neurodiversity.
We're really excited for today's guest, which we are going to say a lot because we're always really excited about every guest we get. So let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. I'm your host, Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist, professional speaker, published author, wearer of many hats. With me today, as always, is the Watson to my Holmes, Mr. Jake Noonan. Say hi, Jake.
Hey everybody, great to be here as always. Watson to Holmes. Which version are we going for though? Because there's a lot of different ones.
Well, I just finished rewatching Sherlock on BBC, and as much as I'd love to be Benedict Cumberbatch, I think I'm feeling more like, classic Holmes, classic Watson. I want, as great as I love the BBC show, I'm in a more of an old school mood today.
I can totally understand that. That's fair. Totally fair.
If you want to be Martin Freeman, you can be Martin Freeman.
I'll be Martin Freeman in this old school one.
Ooh, love that. So, Jake, would you like to know a funny thing about me?
Always. I always like to love funny things about you.
So, in my life, I've had the good fortune to meet many celebrities. And it's a weird thing about me, but I've met Ted Turner, I've met Sean Bradley, I've met Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Heather Locklear, Geraldo Rivera, Jon Stewart, Natalie Portman. I've met many, many famous people.
Just humble bragging a little bit. It's okay.
Well, humble brag, but also setting something up. Because weirdly, when you meet a lot of famous people, you don't get starstruck that often. If I'm someone who never met a famous person and then ran into Hugh Jackman, you'd be like, go, it's Hugh Jackman, right? So I don't get starstruck very often, but very rarely I meet a celebrity that I actually get starstruck about. Now, one time it was Kate Beckinsale, and I literally just was like a cartoon where it was like, boom, right? Yeah, could not.
Jaw on the ground, completely surprised.
Yeah. She's just the most beautiful person who's ever existed. And if we ever meet Matthew Lillard on the podcast, that will also be a starstruck moment.
And he will also be the most beautiful person.
Right? Yes. Well, he is definitely a beautiful person. But one of the other times I met a celebrity and was utterly starstruck and couldn't talk, got utterly tongue-tied, was when I met Barry Kaufman at the Supporting the Emotional Needs of the Gifted conference in 2017 in Chicago. And we are lucky to have him as our guest today. I'm only a little bit less anxious about meeting him now, which is fun for me. Dr. Scott, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, Dr. Matt. I don't often get described as a celebrity, so thank you.
In our tiny world, in our sandbox, you absolutely are.
I'm honored.
How many people do I count as colleagues and friends that have been on Oprah? It's a very short list.
At least one.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But while you need no introduction, would you please tell our listeners who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a cognitive scientist by training, but I've spent the past maybe 10 years or so studying humanistic psychology and the higher reaches of human potential. I started off my career studying intelligence and IQ and the education system and then folded creativity into that, but then got interested in positive psychology, humanistic psychology. And yeah, I think these days I'm really interested in what the best kind of mindsets are for overcoming challenges and the best ways of dealing with life. Life comes at you fast, guys.
Yes. And there are a few things out there to be worried about. Some challenges exist.
And it depends who you are. Yeah.
Right.
All of us, I think, have our own unique set of things that we're concerned about in this world. And how do we all live together knowing that we all kind of differ in what those unique sets are?
Your most recent book, was that your 5th book?
That was my 11th.
Oh, your 11th book. Jeez. That was swing and a miss on that one. 11th book.
I don't expect it to count. I don't expect that.
Yeah, my gifts are clearly not in the math side of things. Counting was just never a thing I was good at. 11 books. I own at least four of them. I need to up my collection. Can you tell us about the most recent one?
Yeah, the most recent one is called Rise Above, Overcome a Victim Mindset, Empower Yourself, and Realize Your Full Potential. And it's about how we can really empower ourselves by validating what we've been through and how much it sucks, but also overcoming that the need to always be validated and like change, like and just think about the future and think about, what is a way that we can move forward. And maybe what happened to us was terrible. Maybe it was, even raised to the level of causing a traumatic kind of experience. But you can't, as Irvin Yalom, my favorite existential psychotherapist, said, sooner or later you have to give up all hope for a better past.
Yeah. You know, as someone who's doing the therapy side of that work, I mean, so much of what I do is, that one of the posters I have in my office is don't trip on something behind you, right? And, it's there, it exists. We cannot pretend it doesn't exist. But, it's amazing how people who can be so successful in so many avenues of their lives keep returning to that block or that challenge to trip over it again. And, you know, it's not about changing the past because none of us have that power, but I think it's about changing our relationship to the past.
Well, you couldn't change the past if you wanted to. So I'm being cheeky.
You being cheeky, that's never happened. I
And
couldn't.
it's not, you said it's not about changing the past. I said, well, you couldn't change the past even if you wanted to, unless you know something that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that would make me a far more successful psychologist. Then I could be on Oprah. With this thing, I can change the past. Gosh.
There's a lot of stories about not doing that. I'm just saying.
The way you phrased that was funny, Dr. Matt.
Oh man. Well, what we do try. You know, I recently published a list of the 11 books that changed my life on LinkedIn. And I think I published other places.
Those were all the 11 books I've written. I'm being really cheeky today.
Well, you know what? Good. That's we're not here to be too serious.
Please edit out my interruption, Dr. Matt. Please tell me about the 11 books.
Well, the one in there from you was Transcend. And I'll tell you this, that helped me as a psychologist. It helped me as a dad. I mean, it really like because I think so many people can recite Maslow sort of ad nauseum, right? It's like, oh, here's the general idea of it, but you modernized it, and I think you made it so much more tangible, right? And you don't have to tell us the secret sauce, but like, what was the research creation process to something like that? Because I mean, it really like it's one of the books that genuinely changed my life.
Wow. Are you talking about Transcend? Yeah,
Yeah.
Transcend. Yeah, that one did come from a different place within me than my most recent one. That one came from a very pure, almost fateful place within me that I resonated so deeply with the writings of Abraham Maslow, and I really I wanted to be the next Maslow in a way. I wanted to carry the baton, is what I mean by that. And because I saw so many unfinished writings in him, and the more I digged deeper into it, the more I realized he had so much unfinished, and I wanted to not finish. Nothing's ever finished, but I wanted to really expand on a lot of it about self-actualization and about society and what self-actualizing societies would look like, what self-actualizing education systems would look like, businesses. So I was like, wow, there's a book here. So yeah, it just really came from a place of extreme motivation, intrinsic motivation, I should say.
Oh, and intrinsic motivation is worth its weight in gold. I feel like I'm always chasing those gold stars still.
No, and you shouldn't anymore, really. You know.
I have way too much practice at chasing them, right? It's like, oh, but what's the next thing I need to do? When will somebody tell me I did a good job?
Well, I hope that you take the time to really savor in what your current book is, and because you put so much work into it, it would be such a shame for you to move on too hastily.
All right, Jake, you have to ask the next question. I'm feeling my feels right now.
I was gonna say you like just got completely silent for a second.
Starstruck again.
In the best way.
You did such a great comprehensive job with this one, you know, I thought.
That means the world to me. And it really, I think it came from a place of, like finally feeling like you've got a story to tell that doesn't just help you, but helps other people. And the expansion of something like that was so humbling and so grounding. It was like, oh, this isn't just about me. It's about all the kids out there like me and all the adults who didn't get what I got as a kid, who are now sort of like retrofitting this stuff to their own lives. And I guess it never gets old, right? The idea of somebody saying you created something that made my life better, and it's wow, oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, well, there's a large enough population out there that is desperate, parents, right? I mean, just desperate for resources and something that's evidence-based and I mean, so your book fills a really crucial need in the world, no doubt.
So Jake, we're just going to grab this section. It'll play on a loop on my website. Just over.
That's
We can make that happen. It'll be like the whole Brian Wilson sitting with the tape in his room for like hours and hours and hours.
You get it, right? There we go.
Just a little bit of insanity, but
Well, the funny thing about me is that for better and worse, I just speak my mind, and when it's positive, it feels good. When it's not, I get in trouble. This is one of these days where I'm not getting in trouble because I'm speaking the truth, and it happens to be heartfeltly positive. But yeah, it's just funny. It's this thing about me. I don't just say things just to say things, if that makes sense.
I feel like it'd be difficult and a little like I don't want to say disappointing in a sense, but like somewhere around the world disappointing if you weren't speaking your truth all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told to, maybe I don't need to be so authentic all the time. And I've also been, but the thing that's cool, Dr. Matt, is in kind of validating that it's like okay to be awkward. I think really is a big relief to a lot of large swath of children and adults who feel awkward in most social interactions. Yeah, I know when I just go out in the world doing my daily life, I feel like I'm constantly thinking in my head, what would a normal person say, as opposed to what do I want to say.
I love that that's a shared experience.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Get out of my head, man.
Yeah,
Right.
literally all the time. Every time I go out somewhere.
It's just like because you see all sorts of things when you talk to humans. You see like that I can't unsee. I didn't ask to see it, but like if someone's smiling, what if what they're saying is so incongruent with their actual being, you know, I can't help but not see it, and it just distracts me so much. And yet I'm supposed to, on this kind of surface level of social appropriateness, just have this boring kind of polite conversation and not call out the bullshit, and it's hard for me. It really is, and it really does get me in trouble sometimes. And I've been trying to process how I can, I don't know. It's a tough one. How because I don't want to be inauthentic either, but I, I could be maybe more. Maybe we can neurodivergent individuals can learn how to, I guess, be more sensitive. I mean, they're constantly told probably be more sensitive, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of my life is like a Larry David episode where I'm like, I say something completely unintentionally, I say something that I don't mean to be, awkward or whatever, but it's like, what? No good? That was no good.
So much of it was good, and this part wasn't good. Like, Jake, you got to put the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme over this part, right? Yeah.
Done.
My working title for my next book is called Tales from the Pickup Line because I mean, the thing you just described, like the inauthenticity of humans, the incongruity, I mean, when I do pickup for my kids, I just sit there and I don't think I've ever felt as neurodivergent because we've got all these parents who are having the same conversations with their kids and their partners. And oh, we should get our kids together for a play date. And I'm like, your voice says yes, but your eyes say no. And like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, if I don't want my kid to hang out with your kid, my kid's not going to hang out with your kid. But I feel like we should be allowed to say that. Not in a cruel way, like in a sensitive way to use your word, Scott, but like, gosh, it's just, I always feel so off kilter as I navigate those moments.
You're absolutely right because you're also a compassionate human, and you're like, I want to know if, like, I don't want you to do something that you don't really want to do. It's like I talk to people, yeah, like, yeah, well, basically I'm really agreeing with that because I can think of so many instances of that where I know the person. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of like even, like if you ask someone after a first date, like, hey, do you want to go on a date again? And they're like, sure. It's like, no, I don't want to date someone who's a shore.
Right.
No, I don't want that. You know what? I don't want to date you again because no, I want a hell yeah. And if it's not a hell yeah, I don't want it for me, but I don't want it for you. Like as a compassionate human, like it's either hell yes or no,
Right.
It's like,
Absolutely.
and so like I just wish people would just be honest exactly how they feel about things, and but they aren't. It's just not how we tend to interact with each other in the world because we have all these social scripts of politeness and that trump honesty. And also now there's this, just everyone wants to be quote seen and heard. Everyone's like, what you find when you really analyze in an autistic fashion humans like I do, you find that people like the truth doesn't matter. What matters is are they getting validated?
Mhm.
People just want to get validated all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet there's like a really deep part of my soul that yearns for real honest conversations with people where both of us our goal is not to be fucking seen and heard but to get at the truth.
Yes.
It's just like it's become this like taboo if you don't make someone seen and like if you leave a conversation the person I didn't feel seen and heard in that conversation, then the conversation was a failure, or and even at best, at worst, you're an asshole for not making the person feel seen and heard. But I yearn for conversations where the shared goal is, what is the generalized truth here that transcends both of us? What's really going on in the world? What's really going on here? Like, man, it's just people that's not their primary concern in a conversation. It's like, do I matter?
Yeah. Tell me I matter.
And like I get it too, because like I get there's a compassionate part of me that gets it. I want to feel like I matter as well. So I can get it. But does that have to be the main goal of every fucking conversation? Did I leave feeling like I matter? It's like, oh, man, like can't it's exhausting sometimes that I just want to have an honest conversation, if we're discussing really complex issues about like, well, what should be the real definitions of race or what should be the real definitions of power, privilege, and stuff. Like I want to have really fascinating, honest conversations where we both leave our own egos at the table just for so like let's role play that our egos don't matter for like 30 minutes. Can we do that?
Hell, I'd take 3 minutes. Right?
Absolutely. But that's like that you're also getting at such like an important thing I think socially for everyone is just because like everyone has an opinion now and people can publicize that opinion all over the place. Like doesn't mean that their opinion needs to get validated. Like them as people should get validated, but like if I have some random like 16-year-old who's never gone into psychology, doesn't know anything about neurodiversity, come up to all three of us and are like, "Hey, I know just as much as you," or like, "I have this opinion on things." It's like, okay, we can listen to your opinion, but you also need to be able to be told that you aren't correct with that because other people have been doing some of the work in this field.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, as a scholar, when you go to conferences, people can be pretty objective. I mean, sometimes not always, but like if someone's giving a presentation and they're presenting data, you know, you don't tend to get at the Q&A portion like, you know what, my opinion I think that you're wrong. No, we don't talk like that at academic conference. We go, it's so interesting. I have data that conflicts with the data you presented, and how do we reconcile that? And so it's a different kind of conversation.
But once again, knowing the inherent complexity of what we study and what we work with, checking your ego at the door. It's like, of course, Scott, that you have data that doesn't go with my data because humans are super complex. And you might be seeing it from this lens, and I might be seeing it from this lens. But if I come into that, like, no, excuse me, you need to tell me what a good job I did before we have any other conversation, then we've taken the authentic legs out of the conversation from the beginning. And honestly, as a neurodivergent person, you've lost me. Like, if I can't be authentic with you, whether that's clunky and awkward or like the best conversation ever of all time, still, like, you're losing me if you're blowing smoke up my ass. And I don't want that.
It's a really good point. And of course I have no issue with someone being like, I have evidence, or even my own personal lived experience conflicts with your personal experience. Like, that's a cool conversation though. That's a cool conversation, but why does it always have to be like that's one way of opening up a conversation. Another way is saying, well, you're wrong because my lived experience is different. And I see that a lot. I see that a lot, I see that a lot with, man, it's just so, politics. It's just gets nowhere.
Well, and when you said before, like, this need that people need to be seen, heard, and validated, and that matters more than capital T truth, I was like, you're describing today's political system,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Sure.
I don't care about whether this bill is good for the economy or not. I care about how it makes me feel.
That's exactly right.
And it's terrifying to me as a not only as an intelligent person, but I'm going to leave my intelligence out of it for a second. It bothers me as a person who is deeply empathetic and can see these trends that we see in our society. Because it's like, if everybody's individual reality matters more than a collective reality, then holy crap, what have we become, or what are we becoming? Because there have to be some things we can agree on and move forward with. Like, otherwise, we have no foundation.
I couldn't agree more with that. And like hate is and love, and we can't agree on universal principles of hate and love. We are so tribalistic that if we don't see the biases within our own group, and we think that we're morally justified for hate because we've suffered. And so, man, it gets a little controversial, I understand, but man, this is the way I feel, I guess.
Well, I've listened to so many of the things that you've put out there over the years, and I remember listening to your episode with on your old podcast with Jordan Peterson.
Ooh, ooh,
And full disclosure, not a person I particularly enjoy,
Sam.
but I thought to myself, I respect the hell out of Scott. And I think if Scott can have a conversation with him, let me see what I can learn from this. And sitting in my car, like with my teeth, I'm not happy about this. But by the end of the episode, I thought to myself, Jordan Peterson didn't change my mind, but I gained something from this. I didn't let my tribalistic nature, like, Jordan Peterson bad, me no listen. It's like, okay, well, what's out there, right? I think increasingly we find ourselves in these echo chambers that say, don't listen to the bad out there, only listen to the stuff you already agree with.
Yeah. Well, that's very important. And I mean, I think there are things I agree with Jordan on a lot of things. So I think
Yeah.
there are a lot of other examples of more challenging conversations that I've had than that one, because I think I focused mostly on our creativity research,
Yeah.
not too much on politics and in those conversations. But no, your point stands, and it's very valid. And I really don't have trouble talking with people who I disagree with. I think that people who disagree with me have more of a problem talking to me than I have a problem talking to them, and that's really a shame. Some people, I guess, just have, it's their own personal decision to make, but they have their non-negotiables. They're like, if someone disagrees with me about X, they're not worth talking to.
Mhm.
And so they would just write me off for disagreeing with them about a political issue. I mean, I think, yeah, there's just so many issues where I'm not even, it's not that I disagree even, it's just that I'm not settled on the issue. and they don't even want that. They don't even want to have that discussion. It's like if you're not completely in line with my view, then we share values that are so different that you're not worth talking to, I guess is their reasoning.
Yeah.
And honestly, fair enough, because I believe in autonomy, and I believe people have a right to not to talk to who they want to not talk to. But I do also think it's a shame because yeah, people could be having so many interesting conversations with each other, and even if their mind isn't changed at all, they at least have a greater understanding of the other side.
I have a question for you off of that actually. And it's how much do you see like an interplay between the reluctance or the hesitation to talk to people or have those conversations and fear and power playing a role in that?
Oh, can you elaborate? That's an interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So like if we're talking let's say like economic power or something where it's I want to have that level of conversation and the actual like in-depth discussion, but maybe it's like my the CEO of a company talking to somebody working at like a cash register or something, like the mass disparity between the power structure there.
So look, I think that there's a landmine of a question
Yeah. Sorry.
because I think on the one hand, power dynamics matter, and we should all be cognizant of how we might be unintentionally and intentionally wielding that power to get a certain outcome. So I think that's my on the one hand. But then on the other hand, I think it's interesting because I think that there's some subjectivity about in a certain situation who has the power. There's just cases that are not so clear as the CEO talking to the mailman, you know, mailroom employee. Like that's a clear example. But I think there are other examples that aren't where some people will say, like they'll make claims of like, due to your power and privilege, and the other person's like, like what? Okay, what do you have? You have like a lower class, really poor white man, who's just like totally out of a job, has no money, and feels totally powerless in life. And they're having a conversation with a high-powered black CEO, right? And then the black CEO starts lecturing the white man on, as a white man, you have all the power and privilege, and you should shut up and you shouldn't talk. I think that's an interesting example. Like I just did a thought experiment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm putting forward right now as a thought experiment. And I think it's even just worth discussing that thought experiment. What does that mean in that case? Who has the power and privilege in that situation, really? I understand there's systemic power and privileges, but then when we're talking about individual human to humans talking to each other, is the individual ever allowed to trump the sort of generalization you're making about a human based on their skin color? And so there's so many like nerdy, thoughtful questions I have about that, which you're not allowed to bring up in polite society. You're not allowed to have a
Right.
conversation. You're not allowed to. It's controversial, but I think it's unfortunate that it's controversial because the place I'm coming from is not a place of malevolence at all. It's a place of, well, like I want to understand our definitions of power, like power and privilege, and then are there exceptions? Like, are we allowed to allow for exceptions? Are we allowed to have empathy and compassion for the a white man? Like,
Whoa.
are we allowed to? Are we allowed to? I have said things in the past that get some ire from some people on the far left, such as, I think suffering isn't a competition. That's a controversial statement in some circles, and I think that's a shame that could be controversial, and but I want to have honest conversations about what I really mean about it. Like, I wish I had more of like, oh, go on, like let me hear your perspective, rather than immediately being like, let's shut down the conversation.
I'm sorry. Can you go on?
Yeah.
Oh, you're funny. You're funny.
You see why I keep him around, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that we're all kind of suffering right now as humans. There's kind of a human existential suffering that we could all really, in so many ways, be connecting about with each other and cross racial and political lines in connecting with each other. But instead, we've divided signposts so much based on identities that you can't understand what it's like to be this. You can't understand what it's like to be that. Like there's a hierarchy of suffering, where like the suffering of like, yeah, white men just doesn't matter at all, and I'm not, this is not like a white man grievance podcast.
No, that's next week.
There's a hierarchy set up in society of who's allowed to whose suffering is allowed to matter more than who else is suffering. But in this hierarchy, like, like, well, like, are Asians allowed to suffer as much as Black people, or but yeah, and are not allowed to suffer, but are we allowed to pay attention to their suffering as much? I read some statistics recently about the huge hidden mental illness rates of Asian females in America. I actually tweeted that out the other day, and especially young, between 20 and 24, suicide is the number one cause. It's like, are we allowed to talk about that? Like, just because Asian females are not as loud and, out there, a lot of them actually face a lot of shame, and they're much less likely to seek out therapy. Are we allowed to care about their suffering as much as, they're like, yes, my answer is yes. My answer is suffering is not a competition. So that's what I mean by that, Jake. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And like from a personal like humanities like lens, I love that so much because one of my like all-time favorite fields to dive into is like metamodernism, which is like all about holding space for multiple things but also being able to navigate the space between them all. And that's dead on with what you're talking about. At least I feel.
Awesome. Awesome.
I mean, in the therapy space, I always say that we don't play the misery Olympics because some people feel like, well, I can't go to therapy because other people have it worse. And I'm like, no shit. There's 8.3 billion people on the planet. Statistically, it is inevitable that people have it worse from you. You are not dying of starvation. You are not in Darfur or Uzbekistan or wherever that is. And there are also a lot of people who have it better than you, literally billions of them. So let's maybe just think about how your suffering matters to you and what things we can do to alleviate that suffering. But if we start triaging it, or if we start, ranking, and if something's first, then logically something has to be second, third, fourth, fifth. And the further down that hierarchy you get, the less support and eyeballs you get. And it feels like people are going to feel less than. And increasing the barriers to help and support only makes people feel worse.
Yeah, it very much does. I didn't know how much you wanted to, stay focused on the neurodivergent population in this episode, but yeah, I mean that's a relevant thing here because I think a lot of neurodivergent individuals get excluded from the DEI, and a big thing I've been arguing is that diversity is not just skin deep.
Yeah. No, I was starting to make some headway in that space. And then the election happened.
Yeah, and that's been a shit show. And yeah, and a real shutdown of throwing the baby away with the bathwater in a lot of ways. Like I understand there's valid critiques of current DEI programs and things, but what you want to do, in my view, is make it better, not condemn the whole word diversity. Not like we're going to strike the word diversity from every Bible and every. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, like that's not what it means to be a compassionate human. That's what it means because your ego is, threatened, and you're trying to take it out on people. But I do think that neurodivergent people do often fall between the cracks. And if the whole purpose of DEI is to increase a sense of belonging, I think that so many neurodivergent people are constantly left feeling like, well, where do I belong? I mean, they're like, I don't, belong. I'm not a person of, you could be a person of color and neurodivergent. And actually, that's a very interesting intersectionality
Yeah.
that doesn't get talked about as much as well. That's actually another whole other topic. I think that's super interesting. But there's so many different levels of intersectionality that can make you really feel like, oh my God, where do I belong in this whole hierarchy of suffering thing?
Yeah.
Where am I allowed to where how much am I allowed to care about my suffering?
And also like which identity in a sense is the one that
Yeah,
I should be caring
yeah,
about.
yeah. What club do I belong to? Like, yeah, like what am I? And well, I feel that way. My unique intersectionality. There's no club. I've yet to find the club for that. And so I feel particularly like confused often about where I belong in this world, but I don't want to make this existential all of a sudden.
Do it. Do it.
I'm here for existentialism. I'm just saying.
or I didn't want to make it therapeutic. Like I'm not trying to complain. I'm not trying to be like, oh, woe is me at all.
But like, isn't that kind of the point we've been driving at? Is that like, regardless of how many places of privilege you come from, you're still allowed to feel pain and disconnection and
oh yeah, for
right? Because like we will happily have you in our club. Right? You know, you can hang with us anytime, Scott. You know, you know,
I really appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I do feel at home when I go to like the gifted conferences or the whatever twice exceptional things. Yeah.
so Scott, if we swing back to this idea of, these authentic conversations, these moments of connection, like what would you say drives that? Like we've talked about what gets in the way, right? Ego being a primary thing there. But what do you think drives this? Because I feel like people I talk to are desperately seeking authentic connection, and they're not sure how to go about and get it. What's our North Star there?
Oh, I know. Why do I have to have all the answers?
Because you're the smartest person in the room. Who else am I? Jake, get your brother in here. Maybe he knows.
He's in California right now. I can't get him in here.
Damn.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't want to be antagonistic to your wonderful question. It really is. It's an important one. Authentic relating is something that both parties have to have an openness to. First of all, it takes two to tango. There's a whole field in psychology called the science of high quality connections, HCQs, and you have one part of it is empowering the other, make the other person feel a bit empowered in what they're doing, and there's a playfulness. I think we really ignore the value of humor and being a little bit open and playful. Yeah, the openness part I already mentioned, and then a big one is self-disclosure. Tend to find that authentic relating is more likely to happen under conditions where people are open to self-disclosure about maybe intimate parts of themselves. Makes the other person feel empowered to do the same.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry that we keep asking you for the answers to the question, but your answers are so good. You're reinforcing us.
Well, the truth is I do have the answers to everything, but I try to stay a little humble, or peer humble, so that
right, because it's socially prescribed to be at least the appearance of humble, right?
social script. Yeah, I also don't want to freak people out. Like everything in the universe. It kind of can freak people out a little bit. I do mentalism. I'm a professional mentalist now as well, where I go and I read people's minds, and that freaks people out sometimes. But you gotta like my superpower is I gotta keep on the down low sometimes.
Just casually dropping mentalism right now. Can you do that virtually?
Yes, but I mean, I'm not gonna do that.
I was totally gonna ask you to read Dr. Matt's mind for a second.
Oh, like it's hard. I mean, dude, there's a reason I don't play poker, right? I'm like, how am I feeling right now? Actually, as I've been recovering from Lyme disease this summer, I developed Bell's palsy, which means a lot of my face has been frozen, which meant my wife, who usually can read me like a book, has not been able to read me. She's like, I don't know how you feel. I'm like, this is great. It's so freeing to like feel like I got Botox, right? It's like, I have never been happier. But it's funny, like there's, going back to sort of the playfulness, because like I think playfulness is something that I try to inject into my therapy. I inject it when I give talks. Like I just think it's really important. I think it's why a lot of people like our podcast, Jake, is that we often crack each other up. If nobody else laughs, that's not our problem. But Scott, you meet a lot of people, you do a lot of things. But do you remember our interaction at the same conference at Villanova a couple years ago with the bathroom?
No, can you tell me about it? Can you remind me?
So you had just given your talk and you were being so gracious and you were answering everybody's questions and there was a long line and you had said to me earlier that you really need to go to the bathroom. And as people just kept talking to you and they just kept talking to you, and one was like, hey Scott, can I borrow you for 2 seconds? And you're like, I was like, just 2 seconds. And I took you like 10 steps away from the line. I was like, go to the bathroom. And you looked at me, you're like, thank you. Like it was just this like moment of like, we're gonna just deal with the awkwardness and you should go to the bathroom. And people were like, where did he go? I was like, he'll be back. right?
I really appreciated that you did that. Yeah. Okay, give me a number. Give me a number between 1 and 10. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna write something down. All right, yeah, give me a number between 1 and 10.
All right. Okay. I'll give you the number. You go. Yeah.
3. I was suggesting 3 for you.
Well, that's exactly what I knew you were gonna say. But let me. Do you want to do it again? Give me a 2-digit number.
Okay. 27.
That's fun. That's exactly
What?
Wait,
Come on.
wait, I think you must have seen. You probably saw me write. You probably saw me write it down subconsciously. Yeah.
God.
Try one more time. Put it down and without anything moving.
I'll close my eyes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think that actually, how about let's do something else? Give me. Let me write something down here. Let me write something down. Look, I don't know if this is gonna work. Well, I wrote something down, and well, give me a date.
All right, I'll go. October 4th. Do we need a year as well?
October 4th.
Yeah.
Great. I don't need the year.
Okay.
So I wrote something down, right?
Mhm.
It's like on the top of my head.
Quite literally.
Okay. Do you want to see what I wrote down?
Yes.
Did you write down October 4th?
So no, I wrote down one of my favorite actors. You know who that is?
Christoph Waltz. I don't. I feel
Oh,
like I should though.
he's so good. Google him. Yeah, Google him. He's so good. He was in like Ganga,
Oh,
like Dango and
Inglorious
shit.
Bastards.
Oh my God. The opening scene of Inglorious Bastards in the house. Oh,
But it happened to look to see when he was born.
you
Oct-
well,
Just casually October 4th.
I'm gonna say this, right? Thank God he uses his powers for good, ladies and gentlemen, because there's like a multiverse scenario where Scott's the overlord of North America, and we'd all probably be better for it. But sweet Jesus.
Yeah, you saw me right beforehand, and you saw me put it on my head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeez. Jeez. So one of my best friends in the entire world, my roommate senior year of college, is a professional magician and mentalist. So I've been exposed to more of this stuff than most, and you still blew my mind. So,
Yay. Yay.
all right, Ben, somebody's coming for your crown, buddy. I'm going to say that. God, I don't think my mind can be blown anymore, and we want to be respectful of your time. So we'll slide into our wrap up questions. Jake, do you want to take the first one?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm so curious about what word Scott's gonna pick and if it's a word that's on my mind.
Ooh,
But what is your favorite word and why?
My favorite word in life. Oh wow. Oh my. Are you asking Scott Barry Kaufman?
yeah.
There's a word I really like, and I don't know why though. I like magnanimous.
That's a great.
I think I like the like aesthetically how it sounds. But I also do like, what it describes. Someone's kind, forgiving, generous, especially towards an enemy.
Mhm.
And I think that we need more of that in this world. We need more people who are magnanimous.
I think it's totally fitting for you too, from everything you've been talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Thank you. I feel seen and heard.
Ah, good. We've done our job.
Ew, I really do. I really do feel seen and heard by you guys today. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Means a lot.
We're glad we can do that too for you.
So my question is, if you could have any superhero in the world on speed dial, who would it be and why?
My answer is perverted.
Go for it.
Good. Welcome. Yeah.
Be Catwoman
There's nothing perverted about that.
because she's so hot. I mean,
It's so hot.
I mean, you said if I could have any superhero on speed dial, this is where my mind went, and I would be honest. I had a girlfriend once, believe it or not, and she on Halloween dressed as Catwoman, so I just always think of that.
So it's like a twofold reasoning.
Hey, this is a sex positive podcast. We're here for it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you allowed that. I'm glad you allowed that.
You're also the first person to mention like attraction
Seriously.
for their chosen superhero.
Well, actually, hold on. Chris Hemsworth, when we interviewed Amber,
Oh,
right?
yes,
Second, two in a
yes.
row,
It's our
actually.
second person.
Okay, it's good to know that I'm not the only one whose mind goes to the gutter when you ask that question.
I mean, when I saw the most recent Batman movie, when oh gosh, what is it? Zoe Kravitz, is that her name? Whoever played Catwoman in that movie, when she walked out on screen, a woman behind me literally went, "Oh," and I was like, "All right then, you need the theater yourself, ma'am." Like,
Funny. That's
I
funny.
was like, "Okay, I might scoot to the left a little." No, that's a great answer. Fabulous, top notch. Well, Scott, we've learned a lot from you. Is there any parting words you'd like to share with our audience?
Um, well, your audience consists of educators, is that right?
Educators, parents, neurodivergent humans, anyone who will listen to us blather on for an hour.
Well, I do want to say that I remain a really big advocate of neurodiversity, and I think that so many people now are identifying as neurodivergent in young population that it might be starting to lose its meaning. So I've written about that. I wrote an article for Substack called "Aren't We All Neurodivergent?" and I direct people to listen. My answer is no. My answer is no. We're not all neurodivergent. And I think that for those who fit this criteria that I'm about to put forward, those who are so extreme on a trait, any single psychological trait that makes them feel perpetually socially ostracized and excluded, I want you to know that my heart really goes out to you, and I'm here for you, here to advocate for you, and you're seen and heard. So yeah, I wanted to end on that note.
Unbelievable, and just a really perfect note to wrap this up with. I mean, this was such a great conversation. I mean, truly, it's a privilege for us to learn with you and from you, Scott. So thank you for everything you do, not just in the neurodivergent spaces, but really as a psychologist, like how you and using your superpowers for good. I mean, you move the field forward in such a positive way, and we all benefit from you. So thank you for that from all of us.
Yeah, it means a lot to me, and I feel the same about you. But thank you.
Well, gang, I know that I could keep talking, but we're going to wrap up. This has been a phenomenal episode. Thank you for learning with us and from us and for trusting us with your time. For everybody here at Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski. Jake, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. Always, always, always great to be here. Scott, it was wonderful to meet you. Thank you for being on the show with us and for sharing just like all of these stories, all of these experiences, and just your thoughts in general. It's like I genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you. It was super fun. Super fun.
Take care, everybody.
Nerding Out on Neurodiversity is brought to you by Dr. Matt Zakreski and the team at the Neurodiversity Collective. To learn more about the Neurodiversity Collective or to be a guest on the podcast, please visit our website at www.theneurodversitycollective.com/podcast. Audio and production by Jake Noonan. Show your support by subscribing, leaving a 5-star review, and telling your friends about us. Our Instagram and social media handles are at #NoonPodcast, NOON podcast. Your support is appreciated and keeps us going. All discussions presented on this podcast are strictly for informational purposes, awareness, and understanding. The advice presented is not and should not be considered to be therapeutic in nature. If you have any mental health questions, please contact your provider. All rights reserved.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.